Good morning. I haven't done a vlog in quite a while, and so I thought that this morning I would share some art things with you, some of the things that I'm going to be about, and then some new items on my Etsy, coming to my Etsy shop, because yesterday I went to my very most wonderful antique mall, and this time it was not an empty nest. It was just full of goodies that I was able to find to share with you on Etsy, because I know that many of you seem to be enjoying the things that I have found, and I purchased them, of course, if the price is right. And I know that you might enjoy having them. And I want to thank all of you who have been purchasing my items, because this is a big help to me. I'm going to be using some of the proceeds to get some more Daniel Smith tube watercolors. These are my only tube watercolors. These are the Daniel Smiths that I have, and these, well, I'll explain these to you. I have a few, maybe two years ago, I treated myself as a birthday present to these Daniel Smith watercolor cards, in which they give you a dab of actual watercolor. And then as you can see, I swatched each one, and I've decided to use, and I'm using these and this to make some purchases. So, I am a great believer in the smaller tubes of Daniel Smith, because I'm just not a person who wants to invest such large amounts of money, although this paint is so worth it. But this paint in a size like this, 15 milliliters as compared to 5, these tubes I've had for, I would say, at least 5 years, and you can see they are still chock full. So, I'm quite happy to purchase these smaller 5 milliliter tubes, but the problem is, of course, some of the more interesting colors that Daniel Smith has in their line are not all offered in 5 milliliter. I'm hoping that they will start to do that, but, well, let me go on to explain. I have my 3 basic colors, of course, that one can use to make any possible color. I have Pyrrole Scarlet, New Gamboge, and French Ultramarine. Those are my make any color as long as you're willing to sit and mix, which I certainly am, because I enjoy doing it. So that's the reason for those 3. That was my last purchase. I also have treated myself to Green Gold, Moon Glow, and Rose of Ultramarine. I just love those colors. These that I've had since my watercolor class days, I just love them. I keep coming back to them. They are wonderful, wonderful colors. My Mayan Dark Blue, Quin Gold, and Undersea Green. And this is one of those colors in which I would probably grab if the house was on fire. This Undersea Green is delightful. These I include with this collection because this is a Winsor Newton Olive Green, and this is Holbein's famous Opera Pink. These two together make the most beautiful complexion colors when you're doing watercolor faces. So that's why those two are here. These two I was given by my teacher. I picked Purple Lake and Mauve, and they're Cotman watercolors. They're not in this category, but I just love the colors, and I'm always happy with them when I use them. I also treated myself to two that my teacher would have scorned, but I have gotten a little bit past that now and realize that I can have this because I'm in charge of my art. So I have Winsor Newton Ivory Black, although you can make black by mixing all of these colors, but there are times when I don't want to go down that road. So I have this little wee tube of Ivory Black and this neutral tint, a nice grayish shade. So last evening I went and I boxed in all of the colors that I already have, and then I went down my list and picked colors that I thought I might want to add, and I put a red dot next to them. So that adds up to I think 10 colors that I really want to add to this collection. Then, after picking, using the swatches and some knowledge that I have gained, then I went to this handout because it shows each one of those, but it also shows very clearly whether or not they are sold in 5 and 15 milliliter tubes. In other words, Cobalt Turquoise is sold in 5 and 15 milliliters. A color like Purpurite Genuine is only in 15 milliliters. I've noticed that many of the colors that granulate are not being offered in 5 milliliter tubes, and that I can probably understand. So I did my homework, and I'm going to sit down later this afternoon and check out Dick Blick and their 5 milliliter tube list, and that's my chore for the afternoon. And I want to show you this palette that I found on the trip into my antique mall before this one, and I saw this leaned up against a wall, and lovely number of color availabilities, workplaces, and even room for a brush. And this puppy, $2. I almost injured myself paying for that. A lot of times that I almost injure myself when I'm in that mall. So I'm going to set these aside. And share this next project. I wasn't too well prepared this morning, I'm sorry, with you. I'm going to be doing some practicing. I found this Calligraphy Made Easy by Ashley Gardner in Barnes & Noble for $10, and I had seen Dee Dee Willingham show this, and I thought, gee, that was a very nice book, and then I, 2 or 3 months later, there it was. So I took it to Office Max and had them chop off the binding for 88 cents. And so I'm going to be using this book for practice, and I'm going to be really, really starting to concentrate, maybe 10 minutes a day, because I've been noticing how beautiful some people's writing is now. I was a teacher, and I did teach cursive writing, so I have some background and configuration of these letters, but this is a whole horse of a different color. I invested, because I was able to find these on sale, I invested in a group of Tombows, and they are the ones with the very, very nice brush tip. And these are the only ones that I have, and I'm going to be using these in my practice. So, first I found these and the Tombows, and then I ran into this. I believe it might have been in Staples or Office Max or whatever, and I found this. What a delight. So, even though the papers are fine and thin, I'm going to put one of my pieces of dollar store cutting board between the pages so that I can use this to practice. And believe me, the reason that I used these way back when I taught 3rd grade and taught cursive handwriting, this is a wonderful guideline. It was then, it is now. And with a little bit of space for whatever. But I bought this book, this notebook primarily for that. And this was not a $1 one or a 50-cent one. This was, I believe, $2.49, and I had to look at it twice, but I decided to grow up and use this as my practice manual, plus the pages that are in the book. And in Dollar Tree, I saw this one, and I thought, well, let me use this also. Why not? The more the merrier. And there again, the cursive handwriting practice lines are in here. So for $1, now the rest of the book is toys and stuff for children, and that's fine. But the point of this, I thought, would be practicing these, using them, but I wanted to share them with you in case you were interested. Dollar Tree for $1. So, these are my watercolor, Daniel Smith watercolors, and my calligraphy practice are my artsy shares for the morning. And now I have some things I'm going to be sharing with you about Etsy. I had purchased quite a while ago Pureless watercolors. On one of my videos I used these, and I wanted to show you. These are transparent watercolors, and they are on these pieces of paper, and these are probably Pureless product like this is probably 125 years old. These were the watercolors that were used to tint photos in the 1870s and thereafter. So, what I've done with these pieces of paper, which was double in size, in fact, you can see they come, this one was even larger. They were missing from the stack, that's why I have these extras, and I will be including these for whomever purchases. And as you can see what the paint looks like, it looks like nothing you can believe until you put your wet brush on it, and then the miracles happen. So, I'm going to be sharing these with you because I took my half of these papers and I cut them in turn in half, and I used a folder. As you can see, I cut the Pureless, glued it down. I put strips of watercolor paper so that I could swatch my colors. And as you can see, oh, that's right, I did put two folders together. As you can see, these are beautiful, vivid colors. And I took an old piece of packaging that I had on, I don't know what was in here, and I stapled it to the top so that it would cover over here, so that if I was using this and wanted to close it, I didn't want something that would be wet over here and the turquoise to hit over here and ruin the colors on this side. So I used it primarily as a barrier, but it also works fine in a pinch as a palette. I have used this when I'm traveling, because this is all you need for some beautiful, beautifully well pigmented watercolor. This and a water pen, and Bob's your uncle on that. You have wonderful selection of colors with you on your travels. And the touching the wet pen to here, and you can be used that way, or from here to a palette, and you can spread it out a little bit more and add more water to it and get a lighter wash. So I have used this. I have enjoyed it. I have used it quite a few times, some of the colors more than others. As you can see, I've used magenta a bit and some of the greens, but it's really incredible the amount of paint and the amount of art you can get from these. And I have still got another set of this size, and then I will be sharing on Etsy the remainder, which would be this size plus one more of each one of these colors. That was my first Etsy share. And yesterday, I knew that I was having a lucky day when I saw this strange little book. And I said, what is this? And oh my, this is what this is. A fully bound book of photos, and wouldn't this be wonderful for reverse collage or journaling or whatever. And I loved this side, in which the pages were smaller. And so this delish book will be coming to my Etsy shop for you to use as a journal, to alter, and to generally have some serious art fun with this. The next thing I ran into was this, a journal, or the start of a journal. Now this is commercial, but it's done carefully. This is paper. This is not a print. This is paper glued, front and back. And the sections of paper, now this is, I would say, this is a heavier weight, semi-shiny paper with some bits of stamps added, and the separations between the areas are black paper with a flip out, and so on and so forth. And I just said, well, I'm going to include that because that might be an interesting starter project for someone, or as a gift for maybe a younger person to maybe begin to do their journaling and their arting in this one. So that will be coming to Etsy. And then this tickle, Author Spiderwicks, Field Guide to Fantastical World Around You. And I thought, now what? I just saw this cover. Well, that stopped me right in my tracks. And I saw, alrighty now. This looks like a great book. And then I went through and I saw what exactly they were talking about. Fantastical World. Well, we cover such things as brownies and salamanders and pixies and elves and leprechauns and tree folk and unicorns and so on and so on. And then I realized that there was also a ribbon bookmark in here, and when I opened it, I realized, well, wouldn't this be just wonderful for altering or using for reverse collage? So this goodie will be coming to my Etsy shop also, and it's the paper is all very beautiful and shiny and satiny, and so because of that, the weight, the book, and the rather heavy cover, it's rather a heavy book. Then we have this book, and I've decided to share it with you. The cover is in beautiful condition. This is in lovely condition, and watercolors of New York, but the paper, each one of these papers feels like watercolor paper. So I thought this would be just lovely, and I decided that it's another project that I would not really have the time for, and since this was home to me, I thought I might want to share it with someone who might just love to work with architectural watercolor and embellishment. I could just see myself adding some trees and oh, well, I'm not going to tell you what to do because you must let your muse find its own way. This will be coming soon. And yesterday, my final find is this one, a French magazine, illustration, Christmas illustration, 1936, found in this condition. And when I opened it, I said, oh my goodness, let's see what we have here. And I do believe that I almost fell to my knees because this book, this magazine, is just wonderful. Only in 1936 would you have this type of paper and this in one magazine. A double spread. And then I noticed that French throughout and enclosed prints, the Palace of the Legion of Honor, and complexes, and look at this big one, the Pont Marie, Mary Bridge, the Grand Boulevards with loose leaf papers, and so on. Whoops. I believe I hear my door. I will be right back. Yes, look at this and the wonderful heavy paper, aged beautifully. Now these can be used, removed and used in your framed, and the rest of the page can certainly be used for your art projects, and so on, and so on. A full page illustration, and it is loose, and you can see that no one who likes art or altering could possibly pass up such a goodie. The lady's price was a bit steep, but I managed to get her to drop her price by 20%, and I've decided that I'm going to, oh, look at this one, and then look at this paper. I wish you could feel it. Only in 1936 would you get this beautiful gilt edging on this lady, and of course she is loose, so that you still have this beautiful mottled piece of old paper. And then this 1936 Christmas illustration. And isn't this absolutely delightful? And the back cover. In which it was a Rolex ad. And the back cover. So, this goodie will be in my shop also, and I'm hoping that you will enjoy it. Isn't that cover just lovely? Would be quite pretty framed, wouldn't it? And if you feel it, it's lightly embossed. As I said, I can hate to keep repeating myself, but only in 1936 would you have an embossed magazine cover. So, I do hope that you have enjoyed some of these goodies that will be coming to my Etsy shop. And if you have enjoyed sharing with me, please give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share with a friend, and I would appreciate your subscribing to my channel. Bye till next time.